Hello, beautiful, amazing, fantastic world, and you, wonderful, wonderful individual personality, you, wonderful spirit, you, soul, and body too. Today I would like to speak about earth, water, air, fire, or in correlation to our physical body, etheric body, astral body, and ego. For we do have every one of these elements within us. If we are to stop thinking about the periodic table for a moment, try and stop trying to just separate and differentiate without any kind of depth to it. It is about truly, when you see our physical being, you only see the earthly mineral. It is not necessarily apparent that we are, well, more water than we are earth, but we are also airy. For when we breathe, our lungs are created for the air on this planet, for the air on this earth around us, and we are just as much part of the earth outside of us as we are inside of us, because as our lungs were created for the air by the air, just like our eyes were created for the light by the light. And our fiery nature, our heat, comes from our ego, our blood, which is the physical counterpart or reflection of the ego. Now, in earlier times, the ego was reflected by the phoenix, constantly dying and recreating itself out of itself. Today, it is, well, the symbol is, well, it is still fire, but we are not, our ego is not an animal form like that anymore. We are slowly but surely becoming more human. Now, humanness comes from us embracing our ego and lifting it up so that it becomes our true spirit, which, well, cannot be done in an immediately or right now or in a hurry. We need to have the patience to wait, listen, until the higher worlds deem us ready to receive certain insights and knowledge. For we need to prepare our vessel, soul, body, spirit, and our elements, our physical body, which all of the other members of ours are entwined within, our etheric body or our watery body, which is reflected in our glandular system, and the astral body, which is reflected in our nervous system, which also brings about movement, which also brings about longings and pleasures and passions and dreams and longings, so on. I think I said longings twice, but and our ego, the center of all of these sheaths. It's like the ego is what is working down into these other sheaths. So physical body, earth, etheric body or life formative forces, water, astral body or our passions and longings and movements, nervous system is our astral body, and our ego, which is reflected in heat and in fire, in blood, is the ego. So having these, you can also actually put these to use out in the physical realm too, where all substances hold either earth, water, air, or fire. That means the substance, the state or the form of the substance. Take quicksilver or lava or magma, for example, is considered water because it is watery, it is liquidy. It is, of course, lava or magma is very viscous, if we can even use that word for something hot like that. But it is still fluidic. It is still acting like water in a sense. So, and the same with quicksilver, which is a fluid metal. It is not considered earth in that regard. So it is about the state and the shape and the substance of the substance. It's the state of that substance is this, just like water can be gaseous, solid, and liquid. So it can be either, so water is a little cool because its state can be either airy, watery, or earth-like in its state. So that was the example of what I tried to convey. But in earlier times, they had to use more earthly and, well, the concepts they more or less had to work with in the earlier times. Today, we have become much more advanced in our understanding and comprehension of things. So if in earlier times we lived by the mythologies, right, lived by these gods and these spiritual forces, today we can understand why and see how we did it, what we learned from it, what we developed in the specific times we have gone through. And the reason why we use these examples is to differentiate the immense differences between the cultures. And that is the ancient, the first post-Atlantean epoch, the ancient Indian culture, then the second, the ancient Persian culture, and then the third, the ancient Babylonian, Chaldean, Egyptian epoch, and then the fourth, the Greco-Roman, and now we are in the fifth epoch, and on our way over to the sixth, really. The fifth epoch started in the 1500s. Yeah. Okay, it's still a good while until our next epoch, but it's about seeing that based on the cultures, the post-Atlantean cultures, we have gained and developed different parts of our being that we have today. Certain things have to fall off and other things become more pronounced. So that if we lived as we did in the ancient times, by the higher worlds around us as a matter of course, as a matter of perception, we would not have freedom, free will, for we would just follow the higher worlds as a matter of course. It would just be as natural as breathing to us. We had to lose that connection, that clairvoyant connection to our, well, higher siblings, so that we could earn freedom, independence, individuality, so we can grow into it again, in freedom, in consciousness, in striving. We need to work ourselves into it. We are not given it again. We are not just allowed into the higher worlds as we were in earlier times. We have to earn our way in. And that is the joy of this path, truly. You never get bored, and if you get bored, I think you are doing something wrong. For your inner being is as lively as the cosmos out in space, you know. It truly has some immense depth and life to it if we truly care to look, if we truly care to take that responsibility to master ourselves. And the higher worlds are always assisting us if we ask them to do so, with humility and reverence, respect, having a human decency, and deepening our human nature, truly coming to know what the esoteric human being is in relation to the exoteric world, to the physical world. Just like if we are to understand one of our members, we have to separate that member. Let's take the astral body, which is reflected in our nervous system and is also, in the spiritual terms, is movement, is longings, pleasures, but we also use it to think in a certain while, and they are intertwined with the etheric body. But if we are to understand the functions of the nervous system and of the astral world, astral body, the correlating spiritual activity within the nervous system's functions, in a sense, The spiritual the physical reflection is the nervous system, and the spiritual activities is what the nervous system's activity is doing, in a sense. Hard to describe, but and for us to understand the nervous system, we need to separate it away from the rest, from the physical body, the glandular system, and the circulatory blood system. Uh, and then studying it in relation to what it is doing, and then we can connect it to the rest of the organs and the functions in our being, so that we can see its correlation to it. Then we can start to form pictures and understanding of its correlation in the spiritual world too, in a sense. Now, it requires a lot of not only brain power, but truly using our whole being, our whole faculty, all of our faculties for perception and imagination and forming pictures, so that one can come to shape understandings. But they need to be alive, for there is nothing that is dead in this world. The closest we get are the mineral world, which is constantly breaking down. But that's about it. That is the only area that is constantly breaking down. The plants flourish every year. We live just like animals do, but in a very different way. For we shape cultures, we shape individual relationships that cannot be shaped by animals. We shape understanding and comprehension that is nowhere near reflected in any animal kingdom, in any animal species. It is because the one thing that makes us a human being is what was bestowed upon us long ago. And we would be damned, is that what we say, if we are to just let it ebb away and let it sit idle, so that we are automatic, what is it called? Nah, not important. Robotic. I thought about, those bands that goes in factories. They go on repeat, and there are wares on it that has been produced, and it just go on and on and on and on. It is kind of depressing and feels very, very. It doesn't feel healthy at all. We human beings need far more stimuli and new impulses daily than that. It is all about bringing alive one's inner being, so that one can, well, embrace life. So when you go out in nature, you truly can perceive all the elemental forces playing imaginatively within your being. And outside, where you need to use your imagination actively to truly make the elemental world alive, and to connect to the hierarchy. We wouldn't be able to connect to the hierarchy through feeling alone. Wouldn't be able to discern anything. But since we do have our thinking faculty and can connect it to feeling, warming up our thoughts, which means that we can actually connect consciously and perceptively to the higher worlds and to the elemental world. But it is not seen through the eyes alone. It is kind of a background thing, kind of an imagination thing that you are actively connecting to while you perceive something. It is kind of a perfect balance, so that you are given inspiration and at the same time holding yourself conscious to imagination. So it is not only you that shapes your thoughts, the higher worlds do so too, so that they guide you and show you different things based on how willing are you to be awake and aware and alive to them. And you are sure you are working with higher beings when they constantly remind you of the Christ, well, and of morality, of holding strong to responsibility and to discipline. For that is something we need to hold strong always. For if we develop ourselves too far without the moral foundations to it, it can go catastrophically wrong. So it is about 3-step for character growth and morality for every step of spiritual development. It is one of my favorite mottos, truly, for it keeps you on the narrow path. It is like balancing and walking on a tightrope, and there are on each side there are two abysses, and well, two different abysses with two different. In the one abyss, you are sitting down there in ignorance and in frivolity and in pleasures. And on the other side, you sit in depression and in anger and hatred and disdain. These two different beings are, the one is like, la la la, I can't hear anything. And on the other hand is, look at all of this, what am I going to do? They are two very distinct beings, and they kind of split humanity in two these days. Of course, they show themselves differently based on the individual they are manifesting within, but nonetheless, these are not the most healthiest and most balanced of beings. Through the Christ we hold an equilibrium, and these two beings also cannot affect us beyond their sphere. They are kind of stuck where they belong. And that is what we truly are. Embracing the Christ for is the balance and the redemption of not only us, but others and these backward beings too. For, well, why not take them with us too while we are at it? For they cannot affect us as long as we actually are within our own inner being, filling it with the Christ impulse, filling it with the compassion and the forgiveness. For Ahriman fills us with the fear of lack, the hatred, the disdain, and also through that fills our being with disease. Because, well, they're sitting in those feelings and stewing is by no means healthy for anyone. It is all about holding your inner being clear and sturdy and focus on what truly matters in the end. What you should truly focus on, the promptings you're given from the higher worlds and from your own self, from your own heart. And stop ignoring your heart, for your heart, in combinations with your will and your thoughts, holds many secrets. And I will leave you with this today. May Father, Holy Spirit, Christ, Micah, ancient masters of old, ancestors from every incarnation, bless, protect, guide, and love you on your amazing, beautiful, unique path to preparation, enlightenment, and initiation. And may you be strong in morality and be provided for with all that you need to survive, live, and thrive in being creative and inspirational, and a good example to others, so others can choose to follow if they wishes to. And may you be safe and sound. Thank you so much for listening to me. Love you. Goodbye.